In England and Wales, offences are categorized into three categories: summary offences, indictable-only offences, and either-way offences. Common assault is a summary offence. It would be tried summarily, that is, before a magistrate's at a magistrate's court. All summary offences are created by statute, for which there is a maximum penalty. Homicide can only be tried on indictment, that is, in the Crown Court before a judge and a jury. Theft, however, is an either-way offense. It may be tried either summarily or on indictment. Why might this be important? Well, firstly, it determines in which court a defendant may be tried. This also impacts the type and length of sentence an offender may receive. If it's a summary offense, the penalty may range from a discharge, a fine, to a maximum of 6 months imprisonment. If it's an indictable-only offense, however, there is no alternative for a restrictive sentence. Life imprisonment may be imposed. Either-way offenses may be tried at a magistrate's court or a Crown Court. The magistrates may decide to send an individual to the Crown Court because their sentencing power is inadequate. That is due to the context in which the offense was committed. The minimum sentence requires more than 6 months imprisonment. In this situation, the magistrates would refer to the sentencing guidelines, for example, for assault, as a reference to determine the length of a sentence. The sentencing guidelines for assault tells me that if you are guilty for assault occasioning actual bodily harm, or ABH, contrary to Section 47 of the Offences Against the Person Act, 1861, you may receive anywhere from a fine to 3 years custody, but the maximum is 5 years custody. First, we must find out whether there is greater harm or higher culpability, or lesser harm or lower culpability. If the injury was serious in the context, there would be greater harm, and if there was a subordinate role in a group, there would be lower culpability. Greater harm and lower culpability would classify the offense as a Category 2 offense. The starting points for the sentence then would start at 26 weeks custody and range from a lower-level community order to 51 weeks custody. The judge would look at a range of other factors to determine where in the range the offense falls between. This would be dependent upon the factors increasing seriousness. If the individual had a previous conviction for an assault occasioning ABH, the sentence may fall between 26 to 51 weeks. However, if the individual has no previous convictions and he's of good character, he may just receive a medium to high-level community order, bringing himself to the lower end of the sentencing range. Step 3 in the sentencing guideline involves a reduction if the offender offered to be or was of assistance to the prosecutor or investigator. In Step 4, the judge would consider any further reductions for a guilty plea. If the offender pleaded guilty at the first reasonable opportunity, there may be a third reduction. During Step 5, the judge would assess if the offender is dangerous. If a judge is of the opinion that the offender is dangerous, an extended sentence would be imposed. Step 6 would be to consider the totality principle. If sentencing the offender for more than one offense, ensuring that the total sentence is a just and proportionate response to the offending behavior. In Step 7, the court may require the offender to compensate the victim, for example, for the items which the offender stole from the victim's store. Step 8, in respect of Section 174 of the Criminal Justice Act, 2003, the judge is required to give reasons for and explain the effect of the sentence. Step 9 would require the consideration of any time already served in remand in relation to the final sentence and to give credit for that time. So the classification of offenses is important because it determines the procedure for an accused and the likely sentence they may receive if proven guilty.